Just thought I'd go over what to think about if you're going to carry a firearm in your vehicle as a EDC type scenario. That's everyday carry. And yeah, a few little things to think about. So, if you're going to be traveling with a shotgun or any other kind of firearm, first of all you need to make sure that, well, if it's restricted, you've got your travel papers and are abiding by those laws. In this case, this is non-restricted, mostly, because that's all I've got. So I'm not going to get into the whole restricted thing. But the non-restricted, you can carry your firearm basically in the vehicle if you're anywhere, as long as the firearm is unloaded and action is open. You don't even have to have a trigger lock. But if you want to go with the trigger lock, that's your choice. That's just taking the extra step. So that's fine. The other thing I want to add is if you're going to be traveling with that shotgun, make sure it's out of reach. If it's right up here beside you, I mean, you're not making any crime, but if you were stopped for whatever reason by the police, it's going to make them extremely nervous. So if it's over there, you actually have to reach over to grab it, and they can see your action, and it shows intent, and therefore the cop is going to feel more comfortable with it over there. That's all. And of course, action's open to show that it's unloaded. As long as that happens, there's really nothing that the police can really do. They might want you to get out of your vehicle, and that's fine. Just comply to them. Another thing you'll need to be carrying, since we don't have the registry anymore for long guns, you don't have to have your registry papers, but you do need to have your PAL. That's your possession acquisition license for long rifles, and that one's mine. And you'll hand that over with your license. And when you hand both of them over, just as 2 pieces of ID, you give them over to the cop. He'll then know that you're legal. Of course, never carry ammo in the gun. And I don't think it's a good idea to have it really in view. You know, have it up on the dashboard, all that. It just draws attention to you. I like to carry it in a pouch, just like so. And I've got all the ammo I need for one day. This is sort of everyday carry. Let's say, well, the reasons for this is I'm on an island. First of all, we don't have any police here. It could take 45 minutes or longer for the police to come out. And so if by chance you have to get into a defense situation, it's always there. And my rule is sort of you give three warnings, which is more or less verbal. One is a verbal warning, as in saying such and such to leave you alone, blah blah. If that doesn't happen, then I don't condone violence in any way, and this is only worst case scenario at your absolute last stand type scenario. And with that, these warnings might not be a bad idea. One is a verbal warning. You tell them basically you have a gun and you need them to back off. If they don't comply with that, then you put in a sound flare, one supernova blank, and you fire that sucker off. And that basically shows them it's a real gun, and hopefully that's enough. The reason I say sound flare and not firing in the air with any projectile is the sound flare is going to make a boom, but no projectile is going to fly out. Therefore, you're not going to have any potential injury of where that stray round is going to end up. So, if you're going to fire in the air, it's good to use blanks. I'm just trying to find one here. I've got a lot of various ammo. I've got buckshot, birdshot, and some defensive rounds such as the sound flare, supernova blank, extremely loud. It gives out a huge flame, a big fire donut. That should deter just on its own. But if it doesn't work, you can always then go for third warning, which means I can aim, and you hit him with one of these. They really sting. It's 600 feet per second. It's a light field rubber slug. And then, of course, worst case scenario, you can always go to lethal rounds. But I don't really recommend that in any way. I'm just saying that's always an option instead of just going straight to lethal rounds. The reason I carry all three is mostly for pest control, wildlife defense, and such things. Mostly for bear. If I was in bear country, I would definitely want all these rounds. So I've got buckshot and that. So that's just some basic ammo. So just to show you this pouch. It's just a standard pouch, nothing fancy. But I've got a belt loop on there, so I can carry it comfortably on my belt if needed. And in here is pretty much all my ammo that I'm going to need for the shotgun here. I pretty much showed you some of the specialty rounds I had, so no point going into that. Just, you can see they're just loosely put in, like so. And my hearing aid, or hearing protection, is just floating on the top there. And the idea is that I've got my light fields sort of sitting on the top here. They're the sound flares and rubber slugs. The reason they're on top is because they're sort of your first grab if you need them for bear defense or whatnot. It's always good to scare off your predator as to having to actually take it down. The last thing I ever want to do is actually shoot and kill a bear. Or any other kind of attacker. So that's why I choose to go with sound flares and the rubber slugs. In my opinion, I think it's always good to go with less lethal first. So there you go. And for hunting and whatnot, I've got buckshot in there. So I've always got that option. Birdshot too. So whether it be I'm going for ducks, or I'm going for deer, or whatever, or even grouse, just it's there. And it's in the pouch, so it's accessible, easy to grab, and you're not scattering ammo all over the place if you've got loose. And like I said, having ammo up on the dash, just my opinion, I just don't think it's the best idea. Yeah, it might look cool, but I don't know. I just don't think it's really the mature way to go. So, anyways, yeah. There's no reason I need the whole crate of ammo with me. This is just for one day, such a thing. And then hearing protection, always not a bad thing to have. So that's just the basics to maybe some of your prep. You'll want to put that away. The other basic preps to this is sort of now going away from carrying the firearm in the vehicle and dealing with police officers. Just now more into, let's say I was out in the boonies and I crashed my truck and I got stuck out in the middle of nowhere. The other thing to have is a knife. This happens to be the bayonet for my Mossberg over there, and it comes with basically wire cutters here. So I've got a multi-tool. I could actually cut my way out of the vehicle with this item right here, and this can be used to break windows. Can also be used to as a screwdriver for other things. So just another multi-tool. And a bear defense. This goes on the end of the gun. I got myself technically a spear to defend myself from so-called bear or any other kind of predator. So yeah, just things to think about. Another nice defense mechanism for your vehicle is this one. I've modified it a little bit. I'm just trying to get it out. I put a carabiner on it so this can actually clip to your belt when you go hiking. What this is actually hornet spray. If you come across a nest, it comes in handy, and especially if you're coming back the same way. But also, this is great for bear defense and any kind of defense. Let's say I'm driving my vehicle and someone tried to carjack me. You spray them in the face with this, it's going to burn. It's a soapy substance and it's got pyrethrin in it, which is a pretty good irritant. So not too bad. It's good for worst case scenario. I most certainly would not want to be sprayed in the face by hornet spray. So there you go. That just tucks underneath the seat, so it's a quick grab if needed. Another thing that's not a bad idea is this just happens to be a fish bonker. It's a good little melee, but mostly for like, I could always, well, tell you the truth, why it's in here is because when I went fishing, it never left the truck after. But I just sort of keep it in here. If worst case scenario, I don't have my shotgun on me or any other thing, I could always use this for defense. But that's not actually the real reason why it's in here. It just happens to be in here. Another thing that I recommend for your vehicle, whether you... Hey, how you doing? Someone just walked by. Another thing that I would recommend for your vehicle, flashlight. Always. Just keep it in the vehicle at all times. If you happen to break down on the side of the highway, where we are, there are no street lights. It's very dark. You can't see even where you're putting your feet most of the time. So that always stays in the vehicle. The firearm definitely does not stay in the vehicle. When I go home, it goes home with me, goes in the gun cabinet. It's not a good idea to leave a gun in your vehicle. It's too easy for someone to break into and steal. The only time I leave a gun in the vehicle is if I'm like going into a store or just going into a place of business and I'm going to be there quickly. The gun's out of sight. You don't leave a gun like that in a even locked vehicle. People will see it. The fear factor. You get a lot of, I call them liberals, just people who are gun scared. That's one issue. The other issue is also the fact someone could steal that, break your window, and take your gun. Whether it's got trigger lock on it or not. Trigger locks are pretty easy to tamper with and get off. So, in fact, I've taken a few off for people that I know who've lost their keys or got their guns inherited without keys, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, just some stuff to sort of think about. It's always good to have a pair of gloves. You never know what the weather's going to be like, and up here in Canada, it does get cold. So, you want to keep your hands warm. If your hands are warm, you can function. Have you ever tried doing up a zipper with frozen hands? It's a lot harder than you would think. So try lighting a fire with frozen hands. It's not going to happen. Fire starter is a great thing to have. I've got lighters actually on me, but I have a lighter in my glove compartment. I believe there's even a book of matches in there. And I've got plenty of paper for fire starter. So the vehicle's okay for that. If the vehicle were totaled and you had to camp, you can always use parts of your vehicle for various tools and other things. You can also take the gas out of your car, use that to start fires. You know, just some basic, very simple ideas here. So just basic, I call it just daily prepping for your vehicle. Not a bad idea when you're out of the city to have a few extra little items in your vehicle. If you're in the city, I understand you don't need to worry about this kind of stuff. There's buses, you can get home. There's usually people who will help you. There's tow service, there's all that kind of stuff. So really you don't need to be all equipped like I am. And I'm probably quite a bit more equipped than I ever need to be, but I'd rather have it than not have it when I need it. So, or I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. We all know that saying. So the other last thing is I have a travel companion here. This here is Tundra. This is my awesome dog. And, well, if I were to break down the road and I had to walk home with her, I can't leave her in the vehicle. She's got to come with me. And if we're along the side of the road, I don't want her running around without a leash. So I have a spare leash. Always stays in the vehicle. This does not leave the vehicle. I have one at home, one in my work vehicle, one here. And those are the leashes. That way it's never forgotten and I can take care of my dog. It's not a bad idea to have pet food, things like that. If you're going on long road trips, you should always carry pet food, whether you're needed or not, just in case you end up spending that extra night or anything happens. You can take care of your pet. So yeah, I don't know. I think I've covered pretty much everything that I can think about as far as vehicle preparedness for basically one day in what I would call rural areas, rural to wilderness areas. I'll mention one last thing about the law of loaded firearms in the vehicle. It is prohibited to travel with a loaded firearm unless you are where it's bear country, pretty much. So out in the wilderness areas where there is a bear threat or other potential predator threat, that is the only time that you can travel with a loaded firearm. And I'm pretty sure safety must be on. And the other thing is I would recommend not to have one in the breech. Carry what they call coach carry, because if you happen to hit a bump or the drop safety thing, safety sometimes fail even, that there is a potential that it could go off. So there is a potential that it could go off. So I recommend always load up your tube. Even me personally, I'll leave one spare from the tube. So let's say it holds 8, I'll put 7 in. That way I can always add my extra round. Then you can rack it into the chamber and then add another round. Because sometimes you might not want to shoot that deadly load. You might want to do a sound flare or a rubber slug. And it gives you a faster option to get that in there than to have to open the action, dump out what was in the port to put the other thing into the port and then close it. When you can just put your new round in, rack it once, but you always have that lethal rounds there ready. So you just go lethal load if you have to. So it just gives you more option, that's all. So that's what I like about the coach carry and -1. So yeah, anyone wants to add to this, please feel free to comment. Any stories about your scenario of carrying firearms? Yeah, by all means, feel free to share. Anyway, yeah, hope this sort of gives some of you guys some insight. So when your firearm is actions open and unloaded, you want it laying on its side. It's not a good idea to have it sitting like so. The reason for that is that the cop can't tell that it's not loaded. For all he knows, that could just be a semi-automatic. So if it's open like this and laying sideways, he can actually observe the action is open. You can even have it upside down. He might even like that a bit better, only because it gives him more observation. That's all. He can see that area and that. But that is good enough. That's all I recommend. Just another option. Sorry, T. Store it behind the seat. That way, if it's behind the seat, it's out of reach, out of grab, and nobody's freaking out. If you get stopped at a road check, anything like that, you can just basically announce it, and the cop's not seen it. It's not that big of a deal. If you have the option to put it behind your seat, it's always good. You can carry it in the trunk of your car, or also in on the back seat with a blanket over. It's fine, or in plain view. It's just some things to think about. If it's over there, that's fine. And but like I say, when it's in the actual cab with you, keep it right over as far as you can to that side, and lock your door. Where you don't forget to leave it open, whatever. And if you open up that side, the gun doesn't fall out on the ground. That kind of. Just another prep to think about is right there. Have a 300 watt inverter. It just plugs in. You just pull this out and you plug that guy in, and you have power. Get the engine going, and you've got 300 watts. I can power a lot of things with that, including power tools, some power tools. You're not going to drive some heavy duty stuff. I don't think you'll get a table saw going, but generally speaking, you can get lighting and basic power from that. I could also power my entertainment system off this with an extension cord to my house during a power outage if I really wanted to. That's just something that's kind of cool. Another thing is a ball of string I've got. That's for multiple uses. It's just another thing that just stays in the truck. Never know when you'll need string. I mean, it's not the best for tying down in the truck, but it's better than nothing. So that's another thing. I like to keep my registration forms for the vehicle right here. They're easy to grab. You don't have to go into the glove compartment. And if you get pulled over, it's just right there in plain view. You don't need to make cops nervous by opening up the glove compartment, because they never know what's in there. And another little just quick mention about the glove compartment. This is something that I've just recently learned. This goes for Canada. I don't know anywhere else and what the rules are, but now if the cop smells marijuana, it gives them intent. This doesn't apply to that. This applies to people who have a clean car, the ones that don't smell of booze or drugs or any kind of paraphernalia. The cop technically needs a search warrant to go into your glove compartment. So if your registration is in there and you've opened it up to go get your registration, you've just given the cop pretty much all rights to look in your glove compartment. And me personally, I sometimes am more of a private person. There's things that I don't need everybody to see all the time, you know, things like that. So it's not a bad idea to just not give them that option. If they have a search warrant, then by all means there's nothing you can do there. They're going to go in that glove compartment. But it just keeps your privacy a little better. That's all. If you do it that way, it's up to you. Just something to suggest. So yeah, that's pretty much a little addition to this sort of vehicle prep and sort of my setup here. It's always good, of course, to have pens for communication. Say I leave my vehicle side of the road because it broke down. It's not a bad idea to put a note in the window saying broke down. That's where this tape comes in handy. I just usually have this roll of clear tape in here for multiple uses, but that's one use it could be used for. I got a notepad in there. So yeah, and I've got pretty much just a whole bunch of shit. I mean, I've got nothing to hide, so I'll just show you the junk I got in there. Just basically bills of sales books and just various shit. So yeah, but just letting you know for those who don't. So yeah, I think that covers it. You can always add more things and take some things out. I have a whole bunch of firearm options, not just that. So I mean, I don't know. I'll probably do a video on my bug out gear at some point, but this isn't really a bug out video. This isn't bug out for the vehicle. This is just everyday prep. So yeah, there you go. This here is a bike light, 250 lumens on a Velcro strap. And it comes in handy. I can strap it to my gun at night. This isn't always in the vehicle. This is just something that I usually carry with me if it's nighttime, because it can be strapped to my wrist, it can be strapped to the helmet of my bike, but also strapped to many other things. So it becomes very useful, and it gives off it's probably the brightest flashlight I own. It's 250 lumens. It's hard to get that many lumens without getting a big light. So yeah, it's from Surfaz, this bike company. I'll just try and get it clear, but S-E-R-F-A-S, that's Surfaz. So yeah, I mean, it's got a few options. I mean, blinding. There's different settings for spectrum. You got your strobe and off. So I quite like that. It's rechargeable with the USB, so yeah, I can just charge it off that, or I can charge it off my computer or off my USB wall plug. So there you go. And it detaches from this base, so you can always have it strapped to your gun, and you can detach the light itself. So just some simple little ideas. I'll just throw those down over there for now. So yeah, there you go. Just basic car prep for everyday carry, and some things to think about if you're carrying a shotgun. And one last thing to add would be eye protection. Reasons I say this is when driving, you got sun glare. It's not a bad idea. The other thing is when you're shooting, you should always be wearing eye protection. Not because of necessarily the breech blowing up and getting that injury, but also if you're shooting targets just up close, even 25 yards away, you could obliterate a target to smithereens and have pieces come flying past you. That's happened a few times when I've been shooting, so I really now think twice whether I need eye protection or not when I go out and shoot, and quite often I'll put it on. It's just extra insurance. The more insurance you have, the more coverage you have, and that's how I see safety gear quite often. So that's all. It's your choice. It's not mandatory. At least the range we go to, it's your own discretion to wear shooting glasses. A lot of the people don't, and they're not forced to. But anyways, yeah, just wanted to add that last thing to it. You should always have a pair of shades in your vehicle anyway, whether you're going to carry a gun or not. But yeah, it's just part of my one of the parts of my vehicle prep. So there you go. One other thing I would add to this, for my scenario right now, it doesn't matter because I've got my bayonet. But you might want to always keep a knife in your vehicle. You never know when you need to cut something, or you can always cut your seat belt, anything like that. It's a very good fallback tool. That's all. I would think that, in my opinion, every vehicle should have at least a Swiss Army knife in it. It's just my own recommendation. So there you go.